Actually, my favorite part of that story is actually when the police officer or the park ranger came over. He was like, excuse me? And I was like, hey! I just thought, like, he's a nice guy. And then he got really pissed off. I was like patronizing him. And I was like, no, it's beautiful. It's nature here. Look at all this nature. Do you like the nature? So, that's kind of, yeah, I think they solved it. But, awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Krista. Really great. And,
Thanks, John.
I thought it was great. And I don't know. There's a lot of things that I could share today, and there's a lot that was on my heart. And when I was praying about it, like this year hasn't been easy for me, and there's just these moments that I would spend time with God. I would spend time with Jesus. And everything, like my answers wouldn't be there, everything I wanted, but it made sense. Like life made sense, and I was like, this is what I want. And so today I just really wanted to share with you guys parts of my life where Jesus was just there for me. And then afterwards I'd like to, share some things with you, but mostly that's just really what I want to do today. And I just want to say, thank you so much for coming. This room is filled with faces that have meant a lot to me throughout my years, both in this fellowship and out of this fellowship. If you guys come here regularly, or if you got a text from me or something, it is because you mean something to me, and it is because you have shaped who I am. It's because you've shaped my relationship with God. Even if you don't believe in him, sorry, you shaped it like my relationship. I know him better because I know you. Like that, I promise you. I'm not just making this up. And if you're like, oh yeah, but I got a text, but I don't know. Like, no, don't. That is why you're here. That is why I invited you. That if you come here all the time, that's why you're like, yes, it's true. So yeah, I just want to go back, take you through a little bit of a timeline of my story through college. And then I'll share a bit with you. But freshman year, I came in. Who knew freshman year me? Who in the world? Yeah, I was all over the place. I was kind of ridiculous, but I still am. But I came into college very excited. I came into the college very excited about my relationship with Jesus. I had an amazing summer right before that, and I was like, oh yeah, let's go. I love Jesus. I love these people who are in my room and who are next to my room and all this stuff. This is great. And it was an awesome year. Freshman year was so much fun. But I think it was halfway through freshman year, and that's kind of where I want to start this, is I went on my Christmas break, and my parents live in Singapore. If you don't know that, kind of cool. I went to Singapore for my Christmas break, and I remember I went to this parking lot that was because I really like to find wide open spaces to be with God when I'm with him. And Singapore's very crowded. It doesn't have a lot of wide open spaces. So the only place I could find was this empty parking lot 5 stories up. So I climb up and, I'm at this parking lot, there's cars around, it's not that epic or anything, and I'm just praying, and I remember I had this encounter with God, and it had been a great first semester, and I was just like, yeah, this is great, God, I want to know you, I want to know you more. And he's like, and he said to me, I want you to know me more. I remember that. If you guys want to talk a bit about how I heard that, come talk to me afterwards. But I heard that. I want you to know me more. I was like, cool, that's what I just said. That could really work out because we're both on the same page. And then I remember him saying, but it's gonna be really hard. I want to bring you into this. I want to bring you into a relationship with me, but it's gonna be really hard. And that took me off a little bit because I was like, that's a great freshman year. I don't know what it is. But then I said, but yeah. But everything so far has been so amazing. If it could get better, then heck yeah, okay. And so I said okay. And then I went through the rest of that semester, and slowly over that semester, doubts and certain things started to creep in about who God was. And I ended that semester in a very confused place. I was very confused about the goodness of God. I was very confused at looking at can we relate looking at the world, seeing a disconnect between wait, God's good, the world what's going on? Like, that's real. And that was a real struggle that I faced. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I've seen a lot of the world, and I saw a lot of suffering, and I was like, God, like, what? Who are you? I'm confused. And I remember you guys going on the China trip, that's awesome, go. I didn't have the best experience, but don't, like, let that deter you. But it was amazing.
Too late.
But mine was really difficult. I'm so glad I went, but it was really difficult. And I remember I was so scared when I was on the plane about to land. I'd never been this, like, blunt to God before, and I was praying. I was clenching the, like, armrest, and I was like, God, do not let this plane land. Like, turn it around, fly it somewhere else, I don't care where. Do not let it land, because I'm afraid by the end of the summer I won't be following you anymore. And I was really scared. And then the plane landed. And so God had something for me there. And man, did I wrestled through a lot. I think about theology a lot. I'm a very deep thinker, and so a lot of that was getting to me. And I just thought, like, for so much of my life, I believed that if I just could find the truth, it could be good. But I knew God existed. I don't have any doubts about that. But I was afraid that He wasn't good. And to me, I was like, what if I encounter the truth and it's not beautiful? What if I encounter the truth and there's an all-powerful God that isn't good? That really scared me. I was like, I was staying up nights. I was staying up, like, I was so scared. And I remember, I finally, halfway through that trip, I woke up one morning and I was determined, and I was like, God, I think we're done. Like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm too scared. I don't know I thought I did. I'm confused now. And then that day went by, and then that night we were on a bus going somewhere. I don't know where. But we were on a bus, and oh, by the way, the story is going to be filled with music references because music speaks to me a lot. We'll start here. I was on a bus. I was looking out the window, just kind of nothing. I was putting in my headphones, listening to music, and I love Mumford and Sons. If you know me, you probably know that. Yeah. And a song came on, and I was angry, and I was looking out. I was angry. And then the song came on, and anybody know Holland Road?
Yeah.
Holland Road? Yeah. So the start of the song is all what I interpret as him really wrestling with the world and really wrestling with the cynical mind that he has. But then, and I was totally like, yeah, really. And then the chorus breaks through, and it says, but I'll still believe, though there's cracks you'll see. When I'm on my knees, I'll still believe. And when I've hit the ground, neither lost nor found, if you believe in me, I'll still believe. Oh, just tears flooding down my eyes, and I can't quite describe that moment, because up here was all the cynical everything. I was like, no, you weren't, I don't know. And down here was just like, yes, I'll still believe. And then I wrestled through, and eventually I think my heart started to win out, and Jesus spoke to me in that moment. It had felt like it had been a while, and Jesus said, He brought me back to that Christmas break in Singapore, and He said, remember, I said it was going to be hard. I was like, oh, I'd forgotten. And then He said, am I still worth it? Like, do you want to do this? And my heart said yes immediately. Like, no hesitation. I wanted Him. And my heart and I was like, Lord, yes. But there's cracks. There's cracks all through my faith. Can you take that? And He said yes. And in that moment, I got a glimpse into eternity. In that moment, I saw beyond what we're here. I don't know, but I saw into eternity, and it was so beautiful. And it was so beautiful, and it was all my heart wanted. And so then I go back to school, and sophomore year wasn't just amazing after that. Sophomore year was probably a pretty difficult year for me. But over time, God started to reveal Himself to me in a new way. And I started to be convinced of His goodness in a way that I hadn't been before. And I would start to be convinced of how much He loves me in a way I'd never had before. And then when that trust solidified with him, it was like stage 2. But God began to reveal parts of me that I'd been hiding from. So I kind of wrestled with God, and now he was like, okay, now there's all this that you're not really bringing to the surface. Now there's all these things that you struggle with that are underneath that you've worked very well to keep hidden from people and keep hidden from yourself. And junior year was kind of, I don't know why I kind of did things in year chunks just to help me out, maybe, I don't know. But junior year was really characterized by starting to do that. And I went abroad, I went to Jordan, it was awesome, I'm an Arabic major. But abroad was lonely. It was like really lonely. And, but just kidding, you got that, okay. But it was a really lonely time. How I deal with my loneliness sometimes is I just try to numb it out. I just stay up really late, watch random YouTube videos, I don't even know, anything that can make me not feel. I do that a lot. And I did that all through study abroad. I think that was an opportunity that God was giving me to say, hey, we're alone together. Like, push into me. But to be honest, I trusted his goodness. I wasn't sure I trusted him with me completely. And so that scared me, and so I just stay up nights and things. So I came back from that semester, not in a terrible place, but not in a place that I'd been communing with God much. And second semester of my junior year was one of the hardest semesters I've ever had in college. And over again, second semester, junior year, I was shown how I couldn't live up. I messed up here, I messed up here. I wasn't good enough here, I wasn't good enough here. And so much of what I had built my identity on wasn't holding up anymore. And so by the end of junior year, I was defeated. Like, I was done. I wasn't like ignoring God or anything, but I was just, I couldn't do it anymore. I think even being up here 2 years ago, like, was so much of a, I need people to view me as the strong Christian because that's my identity. I need people to view me as capable because I'm afraid I'm incapable. I need people to view me as smart because I'm afraid that what I do is stupid a lot of the times. I need people, and so if people would, and I'm sorry if you're on the receiving end of this, I'm sure a lot of you were, maybe you didn't know it, but if people prodded at those insecurities, I would retaliate with, no, that's not true, because in my heart I thought it was. That's where I ended junior year. And chapter camp, you should go. I'm repping all these things, but I didn't have the best experience with that. Chapter camp, you should go. It was awesome, and I'm so glad I went, but it was hard. It was hard for me. I ended chapter camp, and I finally just broke down and gave everything over to God. I had struggled a lot with pride, and what I mean by that is that I had elevated myself in order to ignore a lot of my insecurities, a lot of what I was scared of.
This man gave his hair to God.
Oh yeah, that's true. I did shave my. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I had like a weird mohawk. It was this way. It's like a sunbeam mohawk. I think it's on Facebook. You can go find it. Okay. But anyways. Okay. Where was I? Oh yeah. So pride, and I had, for the first time, I had like really pulled that out to the surface, and I had put a lot of my deep insecurities in front of God, and I was so scared, because I was so scared that they were too much. And for the first time in my life, I felt too messed up to be loved by my Heavenly Father. And I felt like what I deserved was to be left there, because I just looked at the deeper parts of myself, and I just couldn't fix them. And I tried for a long time. And I remember earlier that year, God had told me, don't do anything with your summer. Go hang out with your sister in Beijing. She lives in Beijing. And I did that. And now I was really upset that I did that, because now I don't have anything to go to myself. Like, I don't have anything to ignore all this frustrating crap that just came up. I have to just go and do nothing in Beijing. That's pretty cool. But I have to go and do nothing. And like, and I was so scared because all that loneliness started flooding in again. And I started to realize that the loneliness was because I wasn't sure God was going to be there with me. And I remember I went into a hotel room, but right before I flew to Beijing, and Mumford & Sons' new album had just come out. It's mostly Mumford. And in that hotel room, the song Only Love played. And it said, I didn't fool you, but I failed you. In short, made a fool out of you and a younger heart. And I rage, but perhaps I will come of age and be ready for you. And you saw me low, alone again. Didn't they say that only love will win in the end? And I remember how I interpreted that just spoke right to my heart. I felt like I'd been trying to fool God for so long, but I'd just been failing him. Feel like I tried to fool people, but I've been failing them. Feel like I made a fool out of the people I love and out of me. And rage, I just couldn't control it. I was upset. And then in there, I was alone again. And just this question of, well, didn't you say that loving you was the answer? And just kind of asking that and hoping that it was still true. And then I went to Beijing. And I'd like to share two moments specifically out of Beijing where God showed up that changed the course of my next year. And I went to Beijing, and I remember there was this one time that I was just so lonely. And I was in my bed, and I was so lonely, and the loneliness felt like a pressure, like it was weighing on me. And I just could hardly move. And then, another song, not Mumford this time. There's this new band coming out called Lev, L-E-V-V. And it was one of their first songs that came out, and I just played it. And the chorus said, I would love you with my whole heart if my heart was whole. As it is, I'm all in pieces. You can have them all. And I realized that's all I could give God at that moment, was just the pieces. I wanted to, for so long I had been trying to sculpt this really good, perfect heart so I could be like, here you go. But it was all in pieces. And it was again coming to that point of saying, my heart's in pieces. Can I give you this? And I walked out. I cried a lot. And I walked outside, and I brought my computer, and I played that song. I played it on repeat. I curled up, and I cried for an hour, just sitting on like cement somewhere. I don't even know what it was. But it was so funny because over time that tears became joy. Because Jesus said, just give me your pieces. Like, I'll make it whole. Just give me your pieces. Give me whatever you have, just give it to me, and I'll make you whole. And that's what he was saying to me in that song. He was saying, yes, and I just cried, and it was another moment that I looked into eternity, and I saw Jesus. And I saw him, and I saw that that's all my heart wanted. And in those moments, Jesus was saying, I'm not going to leave you alone. You can trust me. You can trust me. I love you so much. I'm not going to leave you alone. And then there was this other moment over the summer. A lot of you know Marissa. I'm dating her. And yeah, she's pretty cool. She's coming tonight. She's coming tonight. You told me there was getting better. We had been talking a lot, just because it was at the beginning of when we were dating, and we were Skyping probably like every night just because it's summer and we didn't have stuff to do. And I had invested a lot in that because that was another thing. Partly because I love Marissa, I love talking to her, but also because I didn't want to be alone. So I would text her every night to make sure we had somebody to talk to. I was scared of that not being there. And then she went on a trip to Mexico for 2 months, and she couldn't talk to me at all because they took her phone away. So I was like, oh shoot. And I remember she left, and I hung up the phone call, and I was just so scared. I was like, what? I don't know. It wasn't that I needed Marissa, I just needed something. And I remember I just got on my bike, and I just started pedaling. I had no idea what I was doing. I just started pedaling, and I don't know like Beijing. I don't know what city I'm in. So I just started like pedaling, going faster and faster and faster. And on that bike ride, I just can hardly explain it. God encountered me, and I just started crying. And I just started biking more and more and more and crying. And I couldn't even see where I was going. It was probably really dangerous. And like, I was just biking, and it was like every time I biked harder, it was like I was chasing him. I don't know what happened, but it was like this glorious chase that he was in front of me, and he was like, "Come on, let's go." And I was just chasing him, and my legs were just spaghetti afterwards. Like it was like 2 hours of just it was such a good workout, just really good. And like I was just like biking, and every time I just felt like I was getting closer to him. Finally, in the middle of nowhere, I just stopped, and my bike fell, and I just fell on my knees, and I just worshiped. And I just fell on my knees, and I was like, "You are all I want. You're all I want. Can we just keep this moment? I'm so fragile. I'm so weak. I have these moments, and then I go back, and then I forget, and I just, but this is all I want." And I just begged him not to leave me. I begged him not to let me leave him. I begged him to make sure that we were so close that when before Jesus died at Golgotha, he says, "Make me and them one, just as you and I are one." He's speaking to the Father. And I said, I want to be one with you. And I share these moments with you because they're moments when, like if you notice, this story hasn't been, I had questions, then God gave me some answers. This story has been, I struggled, I had all these questions, and then I saw Jesus. And then I saw him, and I adored him. And I was so in love with him. And so I share these stories because out of everything I've learned through college that's what I'm most grateful for, is moments when I could just adore him. And sometimes that's epic bike rides, sometimes that's just been in my room beforehand, and he just shows up, and I'm like, hey. It's like, hey, yeah. And this year, I couldn't have done it without him. Jesus called me into deeper healing than I've ever experienced before. I am a man of many addictions, some very strong. And I've turned to those things for years and years of my life, and it has made me a man who is, I would describe as like a 5-year-old trapped in this body. Like, I just throw temper tantrums that haven't changed since I was 5. Like, I don't know how to deal with my emotions. I have no idea. Like, I don't know what I feel often, and I'm just so confused, and it's exhausting. And I've spent so long creating a facade so that nobody could see it, so that nobody could point it out. But then Jesus was like, hey, I want to bring this to the light because I don't want you to have to suffer from it anymore. And I could not have done that if I hadn't have seen his goodness, if I hadn't been convinced of his goodness, and then if I hadn't have been assured and promised that he was going to be there with me. And I've realized this year that I'm so weak that, to be honest, I wish I could control my ridiculous emotions. I wish I could figure out how to just, so many things. I'm so weak, but I just can't do it on my own. And at the start of the year, that really bummed me out. But over the course of the year, and a lot of that was Burn Bible Study, thank you guys, I started to find out that was actually the coolest thing ever. Because, let's just think about this, like logically. If we believe that, if we believe, and I'm not saying like everybody here believes it, but if the Bible says, we'll say that, if the Bible says that we're called to be one with God, and if we're called to have him be our everything, then if I could do anything on my own, if there was one thing that I was capable of doing on my own, that would be one thing that God doesn't want one with him. That would be one thing that God said, I want all of you except that. You do that. He wants all of me. And so when I started looking at my brokenness and my weakness, I started to take so much joy in who I was, because that was me apart from Jesus. And if I was going to be one with Jesus, he was going to make me whole. And he said I could give him my pieces, and he would take them, and he would make me whole. So, to be honest, a lot of people have asked me this over the course of college, probably because I bring it up too much. Sorry for that religion, but they asked me, why do you believe in Jesus? And I've given various answers throughout the time. I can probably do it from the theological standpoint, historical standpoint, not the scientific one. I'm a GW International Affairs student. That's toasted or something, but like. I could sit there. I could probably talk to you. I could probably, I've thought about it a lot. But honestly, like, why do I believe in Jesus? Because I met him. Because I met him and I found that he was all my heart ever wanted. That nothing in the world even came close to the kind of fulfillment I found in him. And why do I believe in Jesus? Because I met him and I fell in love with him. And so I'm so happy that you're all here today. Like I said, like, this relationship that I've been on wouldn't have been possible without each and every single one of you in this room. I want to say that again, because I think there's some people in here that don't believe it. Even if you don't believe the same things I do. Maybe especially if you don't believe the same things I do. Honestly, or if you did, conversations with the people in this room, interactions with the people in this room have helped me to know God so much better. And seeing your guys' hearts has helped me to see the heart of God better. Because I believe he loves each and every single one of you. And when I got to know you, I saw how he loved you. And I was like, whoa, Jesus. Like, I've seen how you love me, but whoa. That's awesome. And if you're in this room, if you come often, or if you got a text, or it's because I still pray for you. It's because God puts you on my heart every once in a while. And I still pray for you, and I still care about you. And I shared my freshman year as well. I shared a testimony, and some of you guys were here for that. And at that testimony, I shared Mumford & Sons again, because obviously, and Awake My Soul. It's one that a lot of us know. And it just says, awake my soul, for you were made to meet your maker. And that's honestly what I've prayed for you guys over the years. Maybe not those exact words, but I just want our souls to be awakened. And I want us to meet our maker. That means so much to me, because I feel like God has awakened my soul so many times when I needed him to. And I want that for you. And so forgive me, because I know sometimes that was annoying, and sometimes I didn't quite know how to go about that. Totally get that. But I hope tonight you can hear my heart, and tonight you can hear why maybe sometimes I want to talk about Jesus a little bit. So I'd like to close out. I wrote this when I was preparing for this, and it's just kind of what it's just kind of I don't know if it's poetry. I don't know what poetry is, but something, I don't know, but it's got kind of a rhythm to it. I don't know. So can I call that poetry?
You can call it poetry.
Okay, Kristen says I can call it poetry. So I wrote a poem. You guys can call it a poem if you want, whatever. But I wanted to share it with you because there's another moment I had with God, and to be honest, I'm just going to read this to him because it's kind of directed towards him. And I just want you guys to be a part of the experience. So. Do you remember when we danced? late at night in the confines of a small dorm room, back and forth, our feet tumbling over each other, tripping over bedposts, kicking strewn laundry out of the way. We laughed, the absurdity. What a place to be dancing with you, locked away in a dorm on a Friday night. Do you remember when we danced? Out in the broad daylight, in a bright alleyway where anybody looking out their window could see and scoff at the ridiculousness. Oh, but what joy we had. There was nobody else in the world but you. Nothing else I wanted but to be in your arms, trying to match your footwork, your gentle steps. It was as if the very rays of the sun was the warmth of your smile, overtaking me in utter delight. Do you remember when we danced? Up on the roof, late at night, under the DC night sky, under the mystery of an eternal being, with every step and every movement of the hand, of the wrist. As I watched my fingers weave in and out of the night sky, I grew more curious, more restless, more awestruck at who I was dancing with. Who are you that you would come down from heaven to take the time to dance with me? Atop a city, away from it, free from it, entrapped only in you. Do you remember when we danced? In the vast empty ballroom of a Beijing hotel? The entire magnificent hall was totally ours. Not a soul knew where we were. We were hidden away under the grandness of the chandeliers. The music pouring from a tiny phone and echoing off the walls. Oh, do you remember when we danced? In that open field, under those suburban stars, away from the lights of the city. Remember how we collapsed in exhaustion and stared and marveled at the night sky of your creation? Remember how I wanted to stay there all night, but you said I had a big day ahead of me and that I should get some sleep. But remember your promise that you would be there to dance with me tomorrow? Remember when we sat there because I just couldn't dance? Remember how you held me when I thought I was forgetting the steps? Remember those comforting words you whispered into my ear when I feared we'd never dance again? Remember when I was consumed with anger and hurt, when I looked you in the face and called you a liar? When in bitterness I screamed to have nothing to do with you, that I didn't need you. You remember that night? How you didn't scream back? How you never argued or challenged me on a single thing? Instead, you took me by the hand and looked me in the eye and said, "Don't you worry, my child. We will dance again." Oh, my glorious Father, I remember that night and many nights thereafter where I had to learn to dance all over again. When you promised me you would show me the steps, when you assured me you would help me remember. Oh Lord, I remember those nights when you took a man who could barely even walk and you showed him how to dance. Oh dear Jesus, I remember how we danced. It's all my heart wants, ever and always. Don't leave my side, my love. I'm hopeless without you. My heart just wants to know how to dance. I want to jump, I want to spin, I want to twirl, I want to prance, I want to waltz, I want to dance, I want to dance, I want to dance. I want to dance with you today, I want to dance with you tomorrow, I want to dance with you when my heart is flooded with joy, I want to dance with you when my soul is burdened with grief, I want to dance with you forever in eternity, I want to dance with you right here in the moment. I want to dance with you in secret, locked away where only we can see each other. I want to dance with you in the streets where everybody can see me and maybe even invite them to join. I want to dance with you when I get you, when I have all my answers. And oh, I want to dance with you when you're shrouded in mystery. And I wonder if I can ever even come close to grasping the hands of the God I'm dancing with. Oh, Lord Jesus, Prince of Peace, magnificent King, glorious ruler, Alpha, Omega, beginning and the end, oh, the great I am, Yahweh, the eternal one, my caring and loving Father. Do you remember when we danced? Yeah. So,
the phone's recording.
nice. I like that. So we're going to end here. stay. We're going to have a bit of a response time. And this is like, if this is your first time, this isn't like, oh, I texted you and I tricked you into a response time. Like, we do this all the time after every well. And so I encourage you guys to stay. I understand that some of you have places to go, but I really do encourage you guys to stay. I think whatever you believe about Jesus, or whatever you believe about an eternal being or something out there, I think he wants to speak to you tonight. I think it wants to speak to you tonight. I really appreciate you guys to stay, and if you're moved by anything me or Krista said, we're going to actually be up front this time for prayer. And to be honest, tonight I just really want to, like, I'm thinking, like, what do I want to do with my last well? It would mean the world to me if I could just adore Jesus with you guys, because I really love you guys. So I know sometimes you're just like, oh, I want to sit there, but if there's an inkling of you wanting prayer tonight, or if there's an inkling of just, maybe you should, like, can you just do it? Can we just do it tonight? Because, like, maybe I'm saying this selfishly, but that would just mean the world to me if me or somebody else on Vision Team could pray for you. Not just because, and this isn't like come up and with problems, you can do that too, but like, I think that God has something for everybody in this room. And I would love to experience that with you tonight. And so if you've had these moments that I described up here, these moments where it was just like crazy, but you looked up and then, God, I don't know how to, like, it's not another word. If you had those moments, like, I just encourage you guys to reflect on those. And reflect on those tonight, and maybe just come up, share it with somebody, and then just rejoice over it with somebody. And if you're kind of in a place where maybe you've had those moments, and it's been a while, you've had those moments, and maybe you're kind of where I was at parts of my journey, where you're kind of forgetting it, and you're not quite sure what it was. Again, ask you to reflect on that. Challenge God on that. I don't think he's scared of that. And then also, prayer. Like, I'd love to hear your story and pray through that. And if you're here and you're like, oh my gosh, John roped me into this room, and you're just like not really about Jesus, like, that's fine. Like, I think, again, like, whatever you believe about this God out there, I think he wants to encounter you tonight. So I ask you to stay, and I do just think it'd be awesome if, belief differences, theological differences aside, like, I think we can still pray for each other, and that those don't need to divide us. So I just, and if you are really moved by anything Krista or I said, and you do just say, hey, maybe I do just kind of want to see what this whole, like, oh, John was like almost crying, that seems cool, like, it is cool. So if you just want to, like, know more about that, or if you want to see what it might be like to start engaging Jesus and following him, and engaging that often difficult but very beautiful road of following Christ, like, come up, and we'd love to pray with you and talk to you as well. Yeah, that's all I got. Thanks, guys. I love you guys.